We're active in about 15 campuses, and we're growing very, very quickly. And keep in mind, this is not just a flash in the pan movement. We're going to become an institution to give them the power and the confidence to stand up and let their voice be heard. I started this organization when I was 18 years old. I decided not to go to college. I didn't get in my dream school, which was the United States Military Academy at West Point. I have this idea to galvanize and motivate the future youth of this country around a core set of ideas, not just political parties or politicians. And the ideas are really America's the greatest country in the history of the world. The Constitution is the greatest political document ever written, and free enterprise is the most assured way to lift people out of poverty and create prosperity for all. Those are the three big ideas. And I think that's something that can win. We as Christians are called to go into the public arena to correct error with truth. So I go to college campuses and there's a lot of error. We're all sinners. We all live in error. I'm far more interested in what God wants of me than what I want from God.
I have to say this without getting emotional, but I'm very proud of my husband. And I know many of you are too. You have worked so hard. And I know a lot of you have seen, obviously, his videos on TikTok and all the stuff he does on campus, but no one gets to see him from my angle except for myself and our children. And the sacrifices that he made this year, he's amazing. I'm very blessed.
And I would not have been able to do any of it without Erica. And that's the real truth. I'll tell you what. You are here as a grassroots response to the top-down revolution happening in this country. I want our Turning Point USA students to receive a round of applause. These are the freedom fighters of America.
The media said that Turning Point could never run a ground game. They weren't experienced. They didn't know Charlie, right?
This is the greatest generational realignment since Woodstock. This generation is the most conservative generation that we have seen in well over 50 years, and the numbers show it. What young people especially are screaming at is they say, give me a structure that I can live my life by. And especially with young men, more challenging of them, more saying, you know what, honestly, I'm not gonna talk down to you. Stop being a boy and become a man. You wanna learn what that means? Come to church and I'll tell you what it means to become a man. Because we have the greatest story ever told. What can I do to save the country? You answer that question every single day because you are doing the work to save this beautiful republic. You are doing something that is bigger than you.
If everything completely goes away, how do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered for courage for my faith. That would be the most important thing. Most important thing is my faith in my life.
All right.
Thank you.
You got a dry eye there?
It's getting emotional.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm good.
How are you?
I think I'm good. I mean, I think I have a level head on my shoulders.
Yeah,
but that's up for debate.
yeah. Your shoulders are kind of hard to see, but yeah.
Your
head's kind of hard to see too. It's kind of just a big, I guess a big ZZ top, just like coming at you. So, I'll like the title says, we're talking Charlie Kirk. It's been 6 months, and I hadn't really seen anything, but I just had this earlier in the week. I had this premonition. I was like, when did Charlie Kirk die? And I had a feeling it was 6 months ago, and sure enough, I Googled it, and it was. And since then, I've heard a few things from a few people. I think Dan Bongino did something, and obviously Turning Point did something, and Officer Tatum, but nobody else really. I haven't seen a lot on this. Give me your thoughts. Just 6 months later, what do you think? What do you feel?
Well, when you asked me, come back, come on the show, you said Thursday or Friday. I'm like, Friday. And you're like, that's good. Ben's not going to be here. And then you said, I'm going to talk about 6 months later, Charlie Kirk, 6 months later. I laughed on the inside because, like, I don't know if this was right at that conversation happened right after this, but so for about a month, longer than a month, maybe 2 months now, I've been, maybe 6 weeks, trying to draft an email to my friend at Turning Point USA. I have a friend who's high up in the ranks there, and I visited her last year. I visited Turning Point last February, a year ago, this past February, and based on that visit, I kind of had marching orders, and I was thinking about certain things and drafting things a certain way, and prepping it for her to give to Charlie. And then September 10th happened. I have a friend in Utah who texted me within minutes of it happening. Because Charlie Kirk just got shot, and I texted her saying, "I'm praying. We're praying." And then within a half an hour, we all knew. And then I texted her back, and I didn't, I said heartbroken, and I didn't expect to hear back from her. And then I did hear back from her. That was obviously September. It was in November. I think it was November. I heard back from her. She said, "So sorry, been so busy. And I've got AmFest coming up." So December is the Turning Point USA's big event every year. So I knew I wouldn't hear from her, and I wouldn't hear from her. So, but in the meantime, then after the Super Bowl, because she works there, and so they did their big halftime show. I knew, okay, those are the big things that are past her. I texted her, and she responded. She started responding. So that communication, line is open. But I told her, I got this big project. I got to fill you in on where things are at. And so it was like, how do I synthesize everything that's going on succinctly and get it to her? And finally, I got it out, and I finally drafted something that I'm very proud of. That it's like, oh, okay, part of this is going to be going into my biography or my journal and my book that I publish eventually, etc. Because and then I sent it off. I'm like, finally done, edited, noted, edited, sent off. The next day, I'm reading an article, and it's an article I wouldn't have normally read. And I'm just like, let me just read this article. And I'm reading the article and forget what it was about. Something in the context. It was about somebody talking, and then it's like, yesterday was in the article, it says, yesterday was the 6-month anniversary of the death of Charlie Kirk. And you guys are all talking about this, 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 and this. And I looked and I go, wait, yesterday? That's the day I sent this thing. So that long story is this. It just so happens that I finally get this thing off to my friend at Turning Point, who was going to get something to Charlie. I got it to her on the 6-month anniversary. So Take that as you will. For me, it was like Charlie and Jesus going, "You're good. I got you." Right. I didn't know it was the 6th month until I read that article and realized that I had already said something important that I was talking about Charlie in it to her. So 6 months is meaningful. The 1 year, you guarantee there's going to be a lot of stuff on the 1 year.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So I'm gearing to release something on the 1 year. Like I'm absolutely going to be posting or putting something out on the on September 10th, 2026.
Right. Yeah, I know. And so much has happened since then. And it was such a shock. It was such a, like, to coin the term turning point for the country, but I don't think it's the turning point that we thought it was going to be. We thought it would be a uniting thing for at least conservative people, hopefully for the country. Unfortunately, it hasn't quite gone that way. And
I know what you're saying. I mean, yeah. I know what you mean.
Right.
But let me give it maybe a counter argument.
Oh, please do.
So events happen, and especially when they're massive public events, right? September 10th, and then several weeks later, the memorial, right? That's a pair of massive events. So obviously the event of Charlie's death, shocked the world and drew a line. Basically, you fell on one side of that line automatically. Your emotions were laughter and excitement, or shock and mourning, right? And
Right.
it's really one of the most dividing moments, clarifying moments in history.
Right.
And then to see the most powerful people on the planet drop everything and go to one big room together and worship Jesus together, and set aside any differences and get focused and do it publicly in the name of Christ. And for Erica's words, that young man, I forgive him.
Right.
To me, that was the most significant, most important mass media moment in my lifetime. Those words from her at that moment,
Right.
that resonated in the heavens so powerfully. So, and we all had that sense, that feeling. It's like, wow, this is crazy. And then Candace happens, right?
Yeah. Good
And
old
then Tucker
Candace.
spins out, and then Israel, and then, you know, it's like, then so the division rises. However, Jesus, being the most important moment in history, came and said, I don't come to bring peace.
Yeah.
He said it point blank, I don't come to bring peace, but a sword. And that's what I mean, the dividing moment. So
Right.
the thing happens, and then we have feelings that this is it, unification, revival, restoration, but it doesn't manifest the way we kind of vaguely imagine it's going to, right? We don't know. We just think good things are happening, but then we feel like things kind of settle back to normal, and normalcy bias kind of creeps back in. But there are all these indicators. There's so many things going on that we are unaware of. For example, even though millions of people, hundreds of millions of people watched that memorial service when it happened, there are people still discovering it today.
Oh, man.
Right? It ripples through cultures. Obviously, Charlie Kirk's name was more well known that day than ever before in history, but it expands and ripples, and a lot of undercurrents happen. Important people's lives change, and those important people make important decisions that they wouldn't have made previously, right? So God's working it out. It's a progression. And let me just give you evidence. 2 weekends ago, I was at an event of, you know, a bunch of elite Armenians, right? A bunch of rich Armenians. And then Charlie Kirk, you'd think because they're a Christian nation that they're all on the side of Charlie Kirk, but it was a dividing thing there as well. But Armenians are used to being divided,
Right.
and also used to uniting, right? So they're the most divided, united people. And they had, at this event, it was a gala. It was an annual gala. It's at a big banquet hall, and there's, you know, maybe 1,000 people there for dinner. And Mark Garagos is the keynote. I don't know if you know who that is. He's a famous LA lawyer. He's on a bunch of big, you look him up, you'll see, oh yeah, that guy.
I know the name. Yeah.
And I didn't actually realize he's Armenian. He's I think half Greek and half Armenian, or part Armenian, part Greek. And so he's one of the, you know, he's a celebrity, if you will, in Armenian circles, but he's also a leftist. Like, he's a Democrat. And he got up on stage for his keynote address, and he himself said, man, the world is changing. Christianity is on the rise. This guy's saying that, right?
Mm-hmm.
This secular leftist guy is up there talking about opportunities for the Armenian narrative are growing because Christianity is spreading and is on the rise, and we need to be optimistic about it. Like, for him to say that. And I don't know if you referenced Charlie Kirk at all, but it is in the wake of that, right? So just because you and I, we have our daily routines, we go through stuff. We've processed that 6 months ago, or 5 months ago, right? And then we're like, more needs to happen. God's doing it, right? More is happening.
Right.
And just because we see people that we thought would come to their senses doing stupid things, they're just going to do that.
Or people we didn't expect to lose their senses. Yes.
So tell me, who are the biggest disappointments for you in post?
Well, I mean, you mentioned them. Obviously, Candace. I'm very disappointed in Tucker Carlson, but it's I am a little bit behind the curve because I was only just catching up to how big Charlie Kirk was becoming when he was shot. I knew he took over Dennis Prager's show, and I mean, Dennis Prager was my rabbi, right? I've met him a few times. I helped produce a movie of his, and I thought, well, Charlie Kirk is going big time. Must be because I remembered him from probably the time he started to rise as a young man and became in the
kind
public.
of came out of nowhere. It was a fast rise.
Yeah, it was a very fast rise. I just knew that there was this young guy named Charlie Kirk who was up and coming, but then all of a sudden, just as he hit big time, again, this happened. So, and I still love the South Park thing, and I'm not exactly a South Park thing, but one of the things I hope that doesn't go away, just a little niche, is Charlie's reaction to that, where it was just like, I have made the big time. South Park ripped me apart, and I love it. South Park said I had the worst haircut ever. That was hysterical. Whatever it was, right? That I'm the master debater, right? And all that. And that seemed like a small thing, but to me, that was like, that's what this country needs. That's for sure what the right needs. That's what the right has, conservative people have, that the left just doesn't have. This idea of the bigger picture and how we fit, and how our bigger picture, how our arguments fit, and what it means to have influence in a culture, influence in a society. So, and that's what, like I said, people, but again, there's always a counterbalance. There's always an equal and opposite reaction. So I've been vaguely following what Candace Owens has been doing. The only explanation that makes sense to me was what Tim Pool said about it. I don't know if you saw that, but his take is basically, Candace is a jilted lover. She loved Charlie, and he picked Erica, and she has never gotten over it. And his death must have sent her. Who knows, right? But
I did hear that, and it does make sense in context, or in particular. I forget who it was. It might have even been Doug Wilson, but I've heard other people say this kind of thing, that there's the argument that if women ruled the world, there would be no war. Right? If women ruled the world, there'd be no war. And then statistically, it's been women rulers who've actually executed more people and killed more people statistically, right? Yeah. And so you think that Candace, if she really loved the guy, that she would be sorrowful and overcome, but that bitter envy, right? Wow. So maybe that's it. It's hard to explain it in any other way aside from the pure grift. And I don't think it's pure grift. I think it's 98% grift right now. Like she is chased it down a rabbit hole and is, when you have a successful YouTube channel or a successful following and you interact, the audience's reaction moves you, right? You start being moved by the masses. You see what they respond to, and no matter, you just inevitably are like, I'm going to do more of that. Right. I'm going to start believing in that direction.
I've often wondered how many people are kind of stoking this in her.
That's all she probably hears, right? Yeah. It's like all of those. She's got her favorites that are just in her ear constantly. You go, girl, you're on it. And with an untrained theological mind, without having roots
Yes.
You know, she's a young woman. Her fame came early, right? She became a star when she red pilled, and she used to be called Red Pill
She's
Black.
brilliant. I mean, when my favorite
she's
things of her,
articulate.
yeah, when she's talking to black audiences, saying you're not victims.
And it was
knock
glorious.
it off. What are we doing? You know? And I thought, wow, that's a star. She's
Yeah.
drop dead gorgeous, smart, and articulate, and she's got the right perspective. So yeah, and that's, like I said, the only thing that makes sense to me with her is just the shock of being rejected, and then now, and look at her focus. Who all her focus is on now? It's on the woman that won, right? So that one, Charlie. And so, but yeah, I didn't want to go too far down with Candace, other than to say I'm really disappointed. Tucker doesn't seem to have gone that far, but you know, and Tucker, like I said, at the memorial, my favorite thing, I think, and I've quoted it several times, was when he said, "This is what Christianity is all about." Christianity, you know, politics and other things, they focus on the outside. What's happening to you? What someone else is doing to you. Christianity says, no, you're the problem. You got to deal with you first. Before you deal with the world, you know, Jordan Peterson says this a lot. A lot of people say, the problem is you. And that's what Jesus came ultimately to fix, or to repair, or to address, is you, your heart. You know, until you change, until you let God change you, until you accept Jesus and have new life, you can't fix anything else in the world. So, and that's the difference. And I thought that is the starkest. It also showed to me that whole rally showed anybody that says, oh, the religious right, or the, what would they call it? That's not a scary, I forget what the buzz term is now for religious right, but Christian nationals. If you're afraid of Christian nationalism, turn on the Charlie Kirk Memorial. Christian nationalism is about dealing with yourself first. It's about forgiving your enemies. If that's scary to you, then you have to deal with yourself. So, and that's, again, and that was in tribute to a guy. And you can see just with Charlie's hair on stage, it's hard to fake this kind of thing, because people who don't have it are fake it badly a lot of times. But he's really like, hey, I love his quote there. I'm more interested in what God requires of me than what I want from God. And, you know, he just had this relentless, hey, let's get it done. Hey, let's do it. It's not about me. It's about the country. It's about Jesus. It's about, you know, us doing it together. What can I do to help you? You know, let's join this movement. Let's get it going. I'm just the one picked to lead this movement, but it's not all about me. So
what's also unique about this moment is the access that technology avails us. We can see reactions as they happen. People post instantly. We can get information. Like it used to be, you had to wait until it was produced and it comes out on the TV set, you know, whenever, weeks, months later, right? But now we can get information right away. And so in my YouTube feed, I have my go-to, and every now and then a Charlie Kirk clip would come up, and usually when he's, you know, out talking some liberal, or, you know, but he was always gracious, very gracious about it. So that's my most exposure to Charlie, is just listening to some of his, you know, retorts and stuff. And then YouTube, I'd see this guy, this preacher that posts, a guy named Frank Turek. All right. So I'd see that, and I'd watch some of his stuff every now and then. I'm like, oh, this is some good content. I had no idea until this happened that Charlie had kind of brought Frank into his circles as his mentor, like as his spiritual mentor, that Charlie was always seeking growth, seeking knowledge. I mean, that's, love the Lord your God with all your mind. So he was an autodidact, right? He would consume information and be able to recount it and be able to spit it out and use that information. But he was growing in his theology, right? Growing in his understanding of Scripture. And Frank, a very well trained, a very solid guy, was just like his personal theologian, a mentor that he brought into his life. And so Frank was there. In fact, a bunch of the conspiracies are, who's that guy? What that guy? Why did he do that after like? So he was in the shot when.
Why did he grab his hat or something?
Right.
Yeah.
Doing this and that. He's signaling this and that. But Frank was in the vehicle trying to get Charlie to the hospital. Like he was in the vehicle when they arrived, and Charlie bled all over his laptop bag or whatever. Right. It's like, this is the guy who was there. And he did maybe a week later, a nice long, just kind of laying out what happened. So that we saw that there's no conspiracy here. Like these are real people reacting in real time, and we're getting their honest. You can't make this stuff up.
Right.
Our conspiratorial mind goes there. Yeah, they all conspired this. This is all planned in advance. No. We're watching these things unfold in real time. There's plenty of conspiracies going on, but the things that are, it's just like, no, God is orchestrating it. Yes. So God will make things feel, but because God's orchestrating, there is a seeming orchestration to it, but it's not human orchestration. It's God in control. Right. And we need to give him the credit and trust in him and glorify him at all times.
Yeah.
Nobody's fault. Hey, nobody's fault. Good to see you.
Yeah. So, and especially what he said about young men. And I did my podcast yesterday on why actually another Gallup poll found that faith is declining yet again in America. And one of the things I said was, and there's still this kind of echo of Charlie's death in a small group. A couple of weeks ago, I was talking, and there was a young guy there, a young husband, and something came up, about young men, and I'm like, because our church is baptizing a lot of young men, and I said, and the leader of the group said, yeah, for some reason, young men are coming back, and I said, the reason is Charlie Kirk. It's still Charlie Kirk, and the young guy said, yeah, he goes, that's exactly right, and this young guy doesn't speak up at all in the group. As soon as I said Charlie Kirk, he started speaking. And he said, yeah, a lot of guys my age, that's what we're here. And we can't fail these men. We cannot fail these young men.
I know.
What Charlie said at the beginning is we're here to go out and correct error. We got to get rid of this kind of therapeutic, thing of sermons that just make you feel good about yourself and how special you are. God has a purpose for you. No, we're in a battle. And young men naturally sense that, and they want marching orders, and they want to fight for truth, and they want to get it right. And I'm just hoping, that it continues. And I'm hoping that Christian leaders see, okay, these young men were inspired by another young man their age who gave his life standing for truth. Are we going to give them, a sense of place? Are we going to be preaching truth? Are we going to, give them what they need to go into their world and stand for truth? I don't know if we are or not. So, and that to me is the challenge for the evangelical church going forward. Is Charlie Kirk's memory going to last? It's right there in these young men that are coming to our churches. What are we going to do?
I know a couple guys that the day it happened, well, at least it was like the day after, they went to a college campus and started tabling. Right? They started doing what Charlie was doing that day or within a week. And one of them's running for office right now. He's running for Adam Schiff's old seat. And so they are engaging politically, and I fell into this circle, and I'm like, whoa, they invite me to stuff, and they're all so well versed in, for them, it's the California GOP, right? It's like, there's a whole, you and I sit here, we do our things, we follow things, but we're not like getting involved in the where we're talking politics, but we're not saying, hey, I should run for office. And so when I started hanging out with these guys, I'm hearing another level of narrative, because in California, the California GOP is going to be the battleground, right? That's like the GOP in Texas and Florida and those places they're good, right? They kind of got, I mean, obviously there's internal strife all the time, but the California of all places and the GOP of all places, especially, you know, you've got the log cabin Republicans that are an issue. I'm in a circle, and I see the excitement and the intensity and the determination. So that multiplied across the country, how many times that we don't know about it. There is stuff happening, good stuff happening, and we're out of time.
And we're out of time. One more good comment. Charlie is the number one reason for renewed fire behind the efforts I'm putting into action for the home stretch of my life. The home stretch of my life. That's very well put. Nobody's fault. Thanks for chiming in. And that's what it is. And that's what we've been given. We've been given this, I wouldn't say a gift, but we've been given this challenge by what happened 6 months ago.
I want to say one last thing before.
Go for it.
You were saying one last thing. Let me say last thing. The assassination of Charlie Kirk is important to me personally because I'm an expert in an assassin.
Yes.
Right? That's the Charlie Kirk assassination is the most public assassination in history, the most known assassination in history right now. And I'm an expert in the least known and most important assassination in history, a suppressed assassination. So, and the assassination that I'm an expert in, where the assassin is the good guy against the guy that deserved to die. Right. And it wasn't vigilante justice. It was actually more like SEAL Team 6. Whereas in Charlie's case, it was the assassin is the bad guy against the good guy. So it's this perfect contrast for what I'm doing. It's put everything in stark resolution. So this is, God did it, right? God knew it was going to happen. And I bet Charlie, if he knew what was going to happen and seeing the aftermath, would be like, okay, I'm good with that, Lord.
Yeah.
Right?
Because that's what God was interested in him.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
and it's the perfect time. Like I said, your story it's the perfect time.
So
we are way over time again, but it's a good conversation. It was worth it. So Michael, thanks. And everybody, we will see you next week. Thanks for the good comments too. See you guys. Hey, it's Joel here. If you enjoyed this, you know what to do. Go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need to hear it. And if you disagree or have a different thought, please leave a comment. I'd love to hear what you think. Thanks for watching.